Today is our last session for this series of author series, but good news for all of our budding authors. I've actually had a few more authors come to me and say that they want to be part of a future program. So if you guys all really like this, we're going to keep it going. So that's my first bit of good news. And my second bit of good news is the reason we're all here. Author Andrew Larson, the author of the book that you guys were all holding up, is here. Yeah. Author of The Bagel King is here to talk to us about how he became an author, and he's going to read some of his book, or he's going to read his book to us, and then we're going to do some activities together. So are you guys all ready? Thumbs up. Awesome. All right, Andrew's going to take it away then.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be here to talk to you about stories, to share The Bagel King with you. And after we read The Bagel King, to make our own books. So I think we're going to have a blast. So is everybody ready to go? Give a thumbs up. All right. So I have to say, it's lovely to be with you. You are where you are. I am where I am, but we're all connected by the stories that we share. And I think, in these times, stories are a light in a sometimes a dark world. They're a safe harbor on a stormy day. And on a day like today, where we woke up and there was snow, I think it's like a warm blanket on a spring afternoon. I love stories. I really love stories. I love to think them up. I love to hear them. I love to tell them. I love to write them down. And mainly, I love to think them up, write them down, and work on them. And work on them, and keep on working on them. And hopefully, some of the stories that I think up and write down and work on will grow up to be a book, like The Bagel King. The Bagel King started as just a little seed of an idea. I thought it up. That's what I do. I'm an author. And an author thinks up and writes down stories. An author is a type of storyteller. But here's the thing, and this is a really important thing, I think, is that we are all storytellers. All of us. Each and every one of you who I see on the screen right now, you are all storytellers. Human beings are natural storytellers. Cats meow, dogs bark, people tell stories. We all tell stories all the time. In fact, we can't help it. We are natural born storytellers. Humans have been telling stories since the beginning of time. Way back when, way before there were computers or iPads or Xboxes or iPhones or televisions or video games or any of that stuff. Way back when, at night, people would gather around fires and they would sit and they would tell stories about the things that they were excited about. They would tell stories about the things that they were afraid of. They would tell stories about the things that they thought were funny. They would tell stories to make themselves feel at home in the world. And I kind of think it's the same thing today. Stories are a great way for us to find our way in the world. But we all tell stories all the time, even if we're not really aware of it. Like if you're playing with a friend or with a brother or with a sister and you say, hey, let's pretend. Well, that's a lot like saying once upon a time. If you're picking up a figure and playing with the figure, whether it's a doll or a like a Playmobil figure, and you're playing some kind of a game, you're telling a story. You're acting out the story with your figures. When I was a little boy, I used to love to play superheroes with my friend. My friend's name is Ian. He's still my friend. And we lived side by side. So we kind of shared this big backyard. And we loved Batman and Robin. And Ian was always Batman. I was always Robin. Ian's mom made us t-shirts that Ian's had the Batman symbol on. Mine had an R on it. We would tie towels around our neck like capes, kind of like Superman would. I mean, if one of us had a Superman shirt, he'd be playing Superman. And we would run around and Ian would say, hey, Andy, let's go and see if we can find any bad guys. And we'd run around trying to solve crimes. We thought we were just playing, but we were telling stories. We were acting out our stories. If you draw, when you're drawing a story. My daughter, Bella, she loves to sing. And Bella dreams of being an opera singer. And in the morning, I can hear Bella in the shower, and this is what I hear from the shower. That is the sound of Bella telling herself a story about growing up and being an opera singer. She's telling herself a story. We all are storytellers. Now, what an author does is they take some of those stories that we tell ourselves and they add some imagination and they try to figure out a story that's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. But ideas for stories for authors are absolutely everywhere. They're just floating around. You just have to keep your eyes open, your ears open, your heart open, and who knows, maybe you can grab hold of an idea and hold it to your heart, and that idea can grow and grow just the way a flower grows in spring. And it can grow into a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, I want to do, before we get to the Bagel King, I want to do a little bit of show and tell with you because I love show and tell. This is the very first book that I ever made. And I made this when I was in kindergarten. And I was too young to actually write, but the teachers printed out phrases and sentences. We drew pictures and we glued the phrases and sentences to the page. We drew the pictures. That one says, my father. And even when I was in kindergarten, I was using my imagination because you can see my dad's got an orange hat there. My dad doesn't wear hats. He would never wear an orange hat. So I thought I was being funny by dressing my dad in a way that he would never dress himself. And this has all kinds of pages like that. And I worked really, really hard on this book. It's got a front and you can see it says Andy's book. And it's hard to count, but I put 6 fingers on each hand because I wasn't very good at math and I liked drawing fingers. So I just kept on going. I used red cardboard front, red cardboard back. I stapled it. I worked hard. I brought it home from kindergarten and gave it to my mom. My mom went bananas. She couldn't believe that her son had made a book. She couldn't believe that her son was an author. And I learned on that day that grown-ups love homemade books. And I've been making homemade books ever since I made this first book. I'm going to show you 2 homemade books that I made and how they grew. Charlie in a little bit. Well, when Charlie was in nursery school, his class raised butterflies. And when the butterflies started to fly, they had a big party on the roof of the downtown JCC, and they let the butterflies fly away. And at the end of the school year, I wanted to give all the teachers a present because they were such great teachers. So I wrote a story about what they had done on the rooftop. And I made this homemade book. You can see this is how I tied it. And then I wrote the words, and my wife Esther drew the pictures. And we gave this to the teachers, and the teachers went bananas. They couldn't believe that they were in a book that someone had made. And I thought to myself, if the teachers loved this story so much about themselves and the butterflies, maybe it can be a book for teachers everywhere and children everywhere. Well, that story grew up to be this, Bye Bye Butterflies. Little while later, it was my mummy's 75th birthday. And I thought to myself, what can I get Mom that she would just love. We were having a big party where we were inviting all of our friends, all the neighbors, all the relatives. I thought, what would be a great present? What would be a one-of-a-kind present? What would she love? And then I thought, I know. I'll make her a book. It'll be one of a kind. She'll love it. So I wrote a story about my mom and my daughter, and I got my wife to do the art. And the story was called The Imaginary Garden. And it's a story about a grandmother and their grandchild and the garden that they build together. And we gave this to my mom at the party. She went bananas. She couldn't believe that I had made a book and put her in the book. Well, this homemade book grew up to be this book, The Imaginary Garden. And when this book came out, it won all kinds of awards. It's been translated into many different languages. It started off as a homemade book. So you never know what's going to happen with a book that you make. And as I said, you all have stories kind of floating around inside. So making a book is a good thing to do. I'd like to tell you about how I came to write The Bagel King. I find, and you probably will find this too as you make up stories, that many of the stories that I make up involve people in the family, because there's all kinds of stories in everyone's families. Some of them are funny stories, some of them are silly stories, some of them are sad stories, some are happy stories, but families are held together by the stories that they share. Well, in our family, every Sunday morning, my wife's father, that means my father-in-law, he gets up at his home really, really early. And he gets in his car with his dog, Rupert, and he sits Rupert on his lap, which you shouldn't do. And he drives way up Bathurst Street with Rupert on his lap. And he drives up Bathurst Street to his favorite place to get bagels. And he gets 3 big bags of bagels. He brings one to his eldest daughters. He brings one here, and then he brings one home. When he comes here, what he does is he stops the car. He gets out of the car with Rupert. He walks up the walk to our front door, and he knocks on our front door like this. He leaves the bagels on the ground, and then he runs back to the car. He honks the horn very loudly, and then he drives away. And he drives away. I mean, he's a grandfather, but he loves driving, and he loves driving fast. He drives away, and he makes a squeal with his tires. And the neighbors all look out the window wondering, oh, it's Sunday. It must be the Bagel King again. So one sunny Sunday morning, we were waiting for the bagels to arrive. And we were waiting, and we were waiting, and we were waiting. No bagels arrived. And we thought, where are the bagels? Because it had become a tradition. It was something that we did every week, was enjoy these warm, fresh bagels. Where are the bagels? Well, and I'll tell you where the bagels were. Esther's dad, my husband's dad, was in a very bad mood. He thought nobody should get bagels today. I'm going to stay in bed. I'm grumpy. Maybe next week I'll get bagels. But I thought, I'm not going to write a story about him being grumpy. I'm going to use my imagination, and I'm going to make up a story about what might be happening to the person that delivers the bagels. And I'm going to invent a character, and I think I'll call him Eli. And I'm going to have that character do something that's a really kind thing to do when he discovers the reason why the bagels haven't arrived. And we'll see what Eli does. Now, in the Bagel King that we're going to read together, there's going to be a couple of words that I want to sort of explain to you. You probably know them, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. One of the words is, and it's probably the most important word in the book, is mensch. A mensch is a good person. If everybody holds their hand over their heart like that, a mensch is someone who's like a really good person. And they do good things. And in this story, Eli is a mensch. I see we have a new friend coming to join us. That's great. Let's wave to our new friend. Hello, hello. There we go. So that's what a mensch is. Another word that we're going to hear is oi. And you all know what oi means. Oi. It can mean anything. You can say oi if you have a sore back. You can say oi whenever you want, really. But it's a great exclamation. Another word is schmutz. Now, if you were eating a bagel and it was just loaded with cream cheese and some of the cream cheese spilt on your shirt, that would be schmutz. And you would want to get that schmutz off. Another word you're going to hear is Zeta. And I'm sure everybody knows what a Zeta is. It's a grandfather. And I'm sure there are some people who I can see in front of me who have Zetas. And the final word we're going to learn is a Yiddish word for bottom or for bum. And that's tuchus. If you went skating and you fell down on your bum, you would be falling down on your tuchus. And then you might say, oi, I fell on my tuchus. So without further ado, we are going to begin the Bagel King. Please bear with me as I share the screen to present.
Just before we do that, Casey, do you have a question? I see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
My Benny's of their friend, his boyfriend, his name is Ian.
Well, there's a connection. It's great to make connections. Ian is a nice name. It's a traditional old Scottish name, and I think Ian is a great name. So thank you for sharing that, Casey.
And also, my Benny's back is hurting.
Do they say oi sometimes?
Not so much, but I'm going to tell him to say that.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt one more time too, because Elon also had his hand up before we start the book. Elon, do you have a question? No. Okay. Well, it got answered already. Never mind.
Okay. So I'm going to try and share the screen now so we can see the okay, share. Okay, present. Okay, is that working? Okay, perfect. So there we see the Bagel King, and you can see that my name, it says written by Andrew Larson, and the other name there, Sandy Nichols, she's the illustrator. And some of you may be thinking, when I grow up, I would love to have a job drawing pictures. And that's what Sandy Nichols does. So I wrote the words to this story, and Sandy Nichols read the words, and then she decided how the words ought to look. So here we go, the Bagel King. And there you can see a older grandfather with a big bag of bagels and a young fellow beside him. So let's see. I'm going to read the words now. Every Sunday morning, Zeta went to Merv's bakery for bagels. Sometimes Eli went with him. Mrs. Rose would let Eli have a pickle from one of the big jars on the shelf behind the counter. Zeta said they were the best pickles in the world. Eli agreed. Usually, though, Eli stayed home and Zeta delivered the bagels right to his door. Zeta brought bagels in winter, spring, summer, and fall. He brought them through snow, rain, heat, and gloom. Zeta had been bringing bagels for as long as Eli could remember. Eli would hear a familiar, "Who's there?" He'd say, "It's me," Zeta would say. "I've got bagels." Warm, chewy, salty, bagels were the best thing about Sunday. One sunny Sunday morning, Eli waited for that familiar knock knock, but it didn't come. Eli grew hungrier and hungrier with each passing minute. He looked out the window, searching for Zeta, but he didn't see him. Instead, he saw Mrs. Katz. She was digging a hole in her garden. The phone rang. Eli ran to answer it. It was Zeta. He had slipped on some schmutz at Merv's. Mrs. Rose had seen it all happen from behind the counter, and she called the doctor. The doctor said Zeta hurt his tuchus and had to rest at home for 2 whole weeks. Eli rushed over to Zeta's. "Are you okay?" he asked, out of breath. "Of course I'm okay," said Zeta, "but I didn't get the bagels." Eli groaned. Zeta moaned. Their bellies grumbled and growled. "Who's there?" It was Zeta's neighbors, Mr. Reuben, Mr. Wolf, and Mr. Goldstick. They shuffled past Eli and into the living room where Zeta was sitting on the sofa. "I'm hungry," said Mr. Reuben. "I'm famished," said Mr. Wolf. "Let's eat," said Mr. Goldstick. "What is going on?" asked Eli. "Well, every Sunday morning, your Zeta gets me a sesame seed bagel with smoked salmon," explained Mr. Reuben. "He gets me a plain bagel with cream cheese," said Mr. Wolf. "And a poppy seed bagel with pickled herring for me," said Mr. Goldstick. "Every Sunday morning, we come to your Zeta's apartment for a feast. We've been doing it for years." "Well, there's no feasting today," Zeta told them. "I fell on my tuchus." "Oi," they exclaimed. "Are you all right?" "Of course I'm all right," said Zeta. "But what's a Sunday without bagels?" "It's just another day," Eli said with a sigh. Zeta followed the doctor's orders and rested. One day, Eli brought chicken soup. Another day, Eli brought chicken soup and a book from the library. And then later that week, Eli brought more chicken soup and a friend. "What's with all the chicken soup?" asked Zeta. "Well, chicken soup makes everything better," said Eli. Zeta laughed as he rubbed his tuchus. "It makes most things better," he said. On Saturday night, Eli had bagels on the brain. Even the moon looked like a bagel, all smothered with cream cheese. On Sunday morning, Eli woke up extra early and he made a list. And if you turn your head, you can see that the list says that Zeta likes poppy seed bagel with cream cheese. Mr. Reuben likes sesame seed bagel with smoked salmon. Mr. Wolf likes plain bagel with cream cheese. Mr. Goldstick likes poppy seed bagel with pickled herring. And Eli likes the same as Zeta. Then Eli added one more thing. It was going to be the perfect surprise. Merv's bakery was buzzing with business. Eli saw a few familiar faces from the neighborhood. "Good morning, Eli," said Mrs. Rose. "Would you like a pickle? And how's your Zeta?" "Oh, he's fine," said Eli. "He's resting. I'm here to get some bagels. Can you help me?" Eli gave Mrs. Rose the list. "Well, this list looks very familiar," she said, "except for this last item." "Oh, it's a surprise for Zeta and his friends," said Eli. "Oh, they'll love it," said Mrs. Rose with a twinkle in her eye. Mrs. Rose prepared the order with care. She packed everything into a big brown paper bag, and she handed it to Eli. Watch your step, she said, and say hello to your Zeta for me. Oh, I will, said Eli. Thanks, Mrs. Rose. Eli cradled the bagels all the way to Zeta's. Who's there? It's me, said Eli. Me who? Me, Eli. I've got bagels. Bagels? Gasped Zeta, opening the door. Bagels, said Mr. Reuben. Come in, said Mr. Wolf. What a mensch, said Mr. Goldstick. The boy's a prince. Well, I went to Merv's and got your usual Sunday order, said Eli. Oh, the boy's no prince. He's a king, Zeta proudly declared. He's the Bagel King. Long live the Bagel King, they cheered. Oh, I have a surprise, added Eli, reaching into the big brown paper bag. I brought a jar of Merv's pickles. All hail the mighty pickle, Zeta proclaimed. Warm, chewy, salty, bagels were the best thing about Sunday. The best thing, that is, except for Zeta. The end. And that is the story of the Bagel King. And now, there we go. We're back to the regular screen. Oh, and I see some people waving the book in front. Good stuff. Now, are we ready to do a little bit of bookmaking? I hope so. I'm going to call in my special guest, Charlie. Come on in. This is my son, Charlie. And before you, and you can see that Charlie.
Hi, guys.
Charlie doesn't look so much
Not anymore.
like that anymore.
We're here. It's weird because mirrored. There we go. This is what I used to look like right there. I'm trying to figure out which way it is. There it is.
And how was your voice?
It was like this. I used to talk like this. Some of you guys probably talk like that. Some of you guys probably talk like that still.
So we're going to show you how to make your own book. And I know that you have all kinds of ideas just floating around in your heads that you can put into the book that you make.
I know I do.
So what we do is we start off, Charlie, here's a piece of paper.
Sweet.
With a piece of paper, and the paper can be any size. So I'm going to use this size paper. And you get your piece of paper. I'm going to wait till we see that people have paper in their hand. Okay. So we get our piece of paper and we fold that piece of paper in half one time. Fold it in half and then just fold it.
Like that.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact at all. Just fold it in half.
There we go.
Then fold it in half another time.
You're just looking good, Dad.
Thank you. Now, here's the thing. When you're making books, when you're telling stories, you are the boss of the book that you make and of the story you tell. So if you really like folding, fold it one more time. There's no rules.
I'm going to fold it again.
Fold it again. There are no rules. Then, so I've folded this. I'm going to get my handy dandy stapler, which is right here. Staple along one side. So I'm going to staple
Just
here.
after you fold it, right?
Doesn't matter. You can staple on any side.
Okay.
You're the boss.
You're the boss.
You
No
can do.
rules.
There's no right, no wrong. Staple. I'm going to hear that sound. I like stapling, so I'm going to staple 3 times.
Last one.
I'm going to pass the stapler to Charlie.
Thank you very much.
On any side,
Any side.
just staple. There's no right and there's no wrong.
I'm going to do 3 as well.
Okay.
There's one.
There's 1. There's 2. 1 more.
There we go.
There's 3. All right.
There you
So
go.
we're going to put the stapler down.
Easy peasy.
That's right. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I can see Yale is getting some help stapling. That's good. That's very good. Now, so we have staples on one side, nothing there, and nothing there. What we're going to do, and this is where it gets really cool. I've got a pair of scissors for Charlie. I've got a pair of scissors for myself. We are going to cut on the edges where we did not staple. So I did not staple on this side. So I'm going to cut on this side like that. I did not staple on this side. So I'm going to cut along that side. I did not staple along this side. So I am going to cut along that side. So basically it's 3 cuts. And now, after I have done that, and after you have done that, what you will find is that you hopefully have made yourself a book with pages that you can fill with letters or numbers or
Stars.
colors or stars. And I thought of something.
What do you think of?
I just thought of something now. So I've made a square book. And my book has a number of different pages.
Mhm.
I am going to cut these so that it's rounded. And my book, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to round the edges off. My book is going to be as round as a bagel.
Look at that.
I'm making a bagel book.
There you go.
I've rounded the corners. I can see some good things happening out there.
Should I do a bagel book?
Why don't you try to do a bagel book too, Charlie?
Okay.
Just round the corners and while you're doing that, there should be a marker here.
This is what we do.
Yeah, I want to show you how easy it is to start a story with a book that you make. So I've got a cover here, and the cover is blank. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 2 squares. You see that? 2 squares and a circle, because this could be the beginning of a story. It doesn't need to have words, but the beginning of my story could be, someone is knocking at the front door. I wonder who that could be. And then if I open the door, what could it be? What could I put? Oh, I know what I could do. I could draw a poppy seed bagel. It's a bagel at the front door. Then, if I want, what can I do? Oh, I know what else could be round. That could be at the front door. I could draw a donut at the front door. How can I draw a basketball, Charlie? Make turn that into basketball.
Sure.
And maybe some of our creative friends out there can share some of the things that they are creating. I see some pens in motion. I see some very engaged looking faces. I think I see Superman doing something super creative. And there's a little bit of thinking going on. I could see Yale.
You guys
thinking.
could even do something so that it's like 2 pages and it does 1 picture like
Okay.
that. See, that's a basketball. We got it working on 2 pages and it looks like 1 thing. Maybe you could do a star or something symmetrical. So it's, yeah,
That's awesome, Charlie.
there you go.
Do you want to keep working on your book?
I think I will. I
Okay.
think I will. This is your book.
Okay, you're going to give it to me after. Well, it is my book. Now it's our book.
It's our book together.
It's a co-creation.
collaboration.
There you go.
Teamwork.
I like that.
That's great. Lots of life lessons here. Lots of
Indeed.
life, not just
Indeed.
bagels. Not
Indeed.
just
You
bagels.
got to have a career doing this, Charlie.
I know.
We could call my next book The Prince of Bagels. It could be about you.
You're a star on this one.
Oh, look at everybody working. And while you're working, just to fill up the airtime while you're working, I want to show you something else that's kind of cool. If anybody wants to cast a little glance, is you can do what we just did, but you can fold your book a lot of times the page. See, I'm folding this a lot of times, and you can make a tiny, tiny, tiny book. So it's like a secret book, and you could write a tiny story. Look how big that book is. Look, this is one of the smallest books you've probably ever seen, but you could make a tiny book. And I'm going to put one letter in here. I'm going to put the letter. See, that's how, look, the letter B for bagel.
Awesome.
The letter B for book. What B for
Bananas.
I could try and draw a banana
There you go.
or a bike. I'm gonna try and draw a
I
bike.
think, Eva, your hand is raised.
I made this little book.
What's your book?
I made a little book, but I didn't write anything.
That's
because-
okay.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So you know what, Eva? You can fill those pages with letters or numbers or colors or words or what animals maybe.
That is an amazing book, though. You should be really proud of that.
Good job, Eva. That's really good.
Ava also made a very unique shaped book. I saw you hold it up very briefly. Do you want to show it off?
Wow.
Awesome.
Can you show that again just for a second? Holy cow. That is amazing.
Are those like 2 ears? Wow. That's awesome. It's like an animal book. That's great.
Anybody else want to show off their artwork? You're all working very hard.
I like that kind of silence when it's silence because everybody's working. That's like music. That's like silent working music. I like that.
Eva, are you ready to show off? Or is that an old hand up? Elon's ready to show off.
It's an old hand.
Okay, then Elon, let's see what you've got there.
I got a dog.
Really?
Wow.
Do you want to? You tell the story. Once upon a
Time, a little dog found some bagels.
That's awesome,
great.
Elon. I like that.
and then
And found a chocolate bagel.
Did the dog eat the chocolate bagel?
Yes!
He's happy because he ate the bagel. Look at him. He's smiling.
That's really. Are those your drawings?
And then he found a poppy seed bagel.
Wow. I like poppy seed bagels.
I like poppy seed, but I think Elon is a very good
Then
drawer.
he found a nice chocolate bagel.
That is fantastic.
and
He found nothing.
then he found nothing.
But you know what?
That's a good ending.
After all those bagels, I'll bet you he wanted to have a schluff. I'll
Yeah.
bet you he wanted to have a little bit of a sleep,
I would.
bit of a snooze.
You want to draw him sleeping at the end?
Oh, Ava also made one about a dog.
Are we frozen?
Just for a sec. There we
Oh,
are.
Okay, there we are. The dog.
That's great. That's really great.
Is there a full story? Do you want to unmute yourself?
No, that's just the cover.
Okay.
Well, you know, a start is the best way to begin. Is oh, I see something else here too. What's that? What the-
Jam. That's very cool. Polka dots.
Ooh, I like that. And I like the shape of your book. That's very good.
I cut it weirdly.
That's okay.
I tried to make a circle, but then I realized I would cut the staple, so I turned to go straight a little early. That's how I made this top part.
But you know what? This is
You
a
know,
very
you made a. It's a pear.
But that's fantastic. You know, sometimes the best creations are when we're trying to do one thing and it doesn't quite work out. And we figure, you know what? I'll turn a circle into a pear, or I'll turn an apple into a pear. You just keep going. So it's not a mistake. It's an opportunity to do something different.
Oh, way to go, everybody. This is amazing. Casey's working very hard, yet Elle's still working really hard.
It's great.
Is there anything you want to show off? I just made a lot of bagels. I just made all the things that I like to put on a bagel.
Well, that becomes a tasty book.
I'm very hungry now.
And it's made me think, quite honestly, that that could be a board book that would be a big seller. If you sold a book like that in a bakery.
Should we collaborate, Andrew?
Maybe we should, because can you imagine if we had like 3 or 4-year-olds that knew the difference between a poppy seed bagel, a sesame seed bagel, an onion bagel, a Montreal bagel, a New York bagel?
These are important skills.
It could be a bestseller.
There we go. I got a compass there.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Okay, Elle's ready to show off.
Got a compass there.
Ooh.
Good job.
My book is called The Fairy.
Pretty.
Wow. What a good drawing.
Thank you. But
Yeah,
I didn't do the words yet. I just did the cover.
But you know what? But you've begun. You've begun your book. You've started writing your book. And that is a great way to begin.
And it's a beautiful cover too. It's a great cover.
It's a very good cover.
You know, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but I think that's going to be a very good book.
I'm going to judge this book by its cover, and I think that this is going to be an awesome book.
I think it's going to be a good book.
It's going to be about fairies.
There you go.
There you go. We should take this on the road.
I know. It's the father-son telepathy.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, are you stapling something? I see some stapling going on. Yeah.
Milan's enjoying his chair. It's a cool chair.
Can I ask everybody, because we're so close to ending, but I want to show off everybody's work. Can everybody take a moment to hold up their beautiful books and I can take a picture? Andrew has his teeny tiny book. Does Andrew want to hold up his real book?
Yes.
Okay, everybody, hold up and say cheese.
Bagel.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Cheese bagel. Perfect. Okay. Well, Casey, did you want to talk about your book before we have to finish up? I think you're the only person who hasn't spoken yet. And ETK and ATK are there too.
I need to do just 4 more pages.
Wow. You're working very hard there, Casey.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a really nice cover, Casey. I love that.
The little unicorn.
Wow.
Nice.
Little unicorn.
Have you named the unicorn yet?
Yeah.
What's their name? What's the
I
unicorn's?
did.
What's the name?
Rainbow.
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 Unicorn.
What a great name for a unicorn. And is this going to be an adventure story about Rainbow?
Well, yeah.
Cool.
It's actually not.
That's awesome.
Just a baby unicorn that she went somewhere that she'd never been to before.
That sounds like an adventure.
Went to a house that she's never been to.
You guys are so very, very creative. I am really, really impressed, my friends.
Wow. I think you guys are too busy working to continue Zooming with us, I think. But you guys are amazing. Can we all give Andrew and Charlie a really big thank you? We can all clap. Because this was such a fun way to close our author series.
We had a blast.
I had a lot of fun.
This was so fun. And if you guys decide to actually turn your books into stories and wanted to email either Erica or myself, we would love to see them and share them. maybe we could even send them to Andrew to read.
I would
Yeah.
love that. And then I could send back a comment. I would love that. That would be very, very exciting for me.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
That'd be really great.
Because I think you guys, after these last 4 weeks, you're all basically professional authors. Am I right?
Oh yeah, of course.
This is my first book. I read-
Already. Oh my goodness. Jokes that I love.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. That's good.
A
Holy
joke
cow.
book.
That's very clever.
What? The first joke. What do you call an alligator wearing a vest? An investigator. What did one volcano say to the other volcano? I love you. What did the end say to the end? The end. Yeah. It's the end of the book.
That is brilliant.
Amazing.
No notes. All good.
Yeah, yeah, no.
That is awesome. So it looks like we've got some comedians here, some authors here. That's great.
Okay, you guys. I think we're going to say goodbye for now, but thank you again to everybody who's joined the last few weeks, the Beth David and Beth Tikva crew, and to our awesome authors. Thank you so much, everybody. You're allowed to go have dinner now.
Thanks very much for getting together, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. And I hope that I get to see some of your books. I would love to. Goodbye.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye, Eva. Bye, Jam Fam.